Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Wealth Equation podcast. Today, we have a gentleman joining us, Peter Reed-Forrester, the founder and CEO of Yorbl. Genuinely, I am intrigued to understand more about Peter's story because the product that these guys are bringing to marketplace is summarized as follows, okay? Jump on their website and have a look. It's a beautiful website, very emotive. Embrace independence through technologically enabled living, okay? This is a business that is providing people of a certain age with a digital ecosystem to enhance their life. I don't want to say too much more. I want to give Peter the opportunity to tell us all about it. So, Peter, dive in. We're all ears. There's a lot of people listening and watching. So, tell us all about it, please.
Sure. Well, Yorbl came about once we started developing Yorbl about 2.5, 3 years ago.
Okay.
We're very much involved in telecare and telehealth solutions. It's an app-based solution that it gives people personal alarms, but also supports people through having a range of peripherals that sense everything from daily activity to the environment to health monitoring, remote monitoring, their health and prompting on medication, and a whole range of things that help people live independent and healthy and safe lives. We got into this because we were asked to by one of our customers. We were traditionally an organization going back that developed and managed technology solutions from using other people's technology. When we were asked to look at telehealth and telecare, we took a look at all the technology that was out there and came away somewhat alarmed because, quite frankly, we found that everything was hugely behind the digital curve, way back. It was a very analog environment, and we came to the conclusion that we could do better ourselves, which we believe we've done. We're coming to the end now of a road of extensive research and development. The product is now being launched on the market. We're now gearing up to generate real revenue. Our customer base tends to be health and social services, so local government, district government-based organisations, but also private sector, and we will be selling directly to the consumer as well.
Fantastic. So interesting marketing challenge is what I'm hearing here, Peter. That no doubt the product is outstanding. Let's share a little bit of insight with everybody watching, listening around how you plan to reach your target market with your product.
Okay, I mean, the first thing about marketing in our industry, if you like, is that traditionally the marketing of telecare and telehealth has been very weak. It typically shows very old, infirm individuals. It's almost like a waiting for God scenario. So the first thing we looked at and is how we can change that image and how we can make people aspire to this sort of technology rather than see it as a badge of infirmity.
That's a really good point, isn't it?
It's an interesting thing. So we dumped what was the normal phrase is technology enabled care. We dumped the word care. Of course we care, of course we look after people, but it's about technology enabled living. It's about helping people to live, not wait for God. So all of our marketing shows happy, healthy, active older people.
I think that's what I connected with when I was looking at the website doing the research. It struck me as being emotive. People look like they were, the photography is well positioned, it's well done. It looks like a group of happy people. They may be unwell, they may be, let's say, in the autumn years, right? But that's going to say they can't be happy, right? That's great. Very interesting. Very targeted of you. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. But we're looking to also start to bring people into this and get involved in this in their 50s and 60s, not just the 70s, 80s, 90s. Because
Obviously, that excludes you and I from that. We just want to make.
I wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally invested in more ways than one.
Are you testing the software out, Peter? No,
Oh
no.
yes.
um, um, how are you planning to execute your marketing? How are you building your plan and your budget and then the execution? Have you got people on the team? Are you working with third parties? How are you going to do that?
A bit of both. We've got a very competent marketing manager who's helped develop this from the ground up. This image, this personality of Yorbl,
Okay.
and we also will be working with probably one major agency who will take us out. I mean, at the moment, we're putting out a fair amount of direct digital marketing, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the normal channels we're using, and that's been received well. But we've got to really ramp that up. We're looking at moving to developing videos, and looking at the budget is being developed at the moment, actually, in terms of paid advertising. So looking at content advertising, all the normal things you would do in a digital market.
So this is a subject that often comes up in our podcasts because the typical small business owner, God bless them, the cornerstone, the foundation of the British economy, struggles with the subject of marketing. It often means advertising,
Mm.
to people, when in reality is much deeper, much broader the subject than that. So again, it's just for the sake of everybody watching, listening, please listen carefully to what Peter's sharing here. You've got to have the right talent in the team. If you don't have the right talent in the team, you might need external support. You've got to have the clarity of thinking, targeting, planning, budgeting. And Peter, you didn't tell me, and don't please go there in terms of numbers, but you mentioned the word budget. So of course, there has to be finance capital put behind this effort, right? Otherwise, your results will reflect what you invest. It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah, no, very, very much. We're moving from from a self-financed. It's been very much bootstrapped what we've done. That thing is very empty now. So we're moving to investment,
Yeah.
bringing in investment, and part of that investment will be specifically to fund a quite serious marketing campaign. We believe it's not advertising or marketing at people. It's communicating with them, marketing with them. It's getting them involved in. It's about getting them involved in our story, in the story we're trying to tell.
Yeah. Very interesting. So can I just touch quickly on the three aspects of the wealth equation? So we've got to talk a little bit about time. We've got to talk about money. We've got to talk about health. So right now we're smack bang in the center of money. So let's stay there for a couple of minutes. You mentioned that you're considering going out for investors. Are you considering equity swap for investments? Is that what you're thinking about, or is there a different?
Yeah. We have a number of potential investors already very interested in us. They different shapes and sizes. The difficult thing is finding the right fit, more than finding the money. But yes, it will be equity investment.
And do you mind, again, as much information as you're prepared to share, can you just help people understand how you went about finding these people? They're not hanging on trees, right? So where did you go?
Sort of combination of things, really. We've had people come to us and approach myself with interest. Networking. Been in business in various guises a long time, so I know several very successful high net worth people who I've been able to approach, so direct personal contacts, and then really networking through. I mean, LinkedIn's been extremely helpful, I've got to say, very useful on that side. But yeah, mainly through the contacts we've got are through personal contacts and through people approaching us, which is always very nice.
So I think the key message there, just to underline for everybody, is don't you know, don't make the mistake of being a closed book, right? You've got to be out there. You've got to be talking to people, meeting people. It's also fascinating to say that your investor, your angel, or whatever they happen to be, may even be in your contact list.
Oh yeah,
This is
yeah.
fascinating stuff. Really
Particularly when you've been around as long as I have,
interesting.
you'd expect that. But there's other things. We've also been involved in a couple of accelerator programs.
Have you?
Yeah, which are quite, they have their use, and I think it's very dependent on the type of business you're in, your own personal experience, who you are, where you are in your career. But they can be a very good source of investor contacts as well.
Which do you mind naming which program you were involved in?
We were involved with the Surrey Health Tech Accelerator program.
Right. Okay. That's cool. So very sector specific. Yeah. Very interesting.
Mm.
So now you're running or building a business that will have been non, or at least I would say suggest revenue challenged for the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, look. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, for that will be an alien subject to a lot of people watching, but there will be people engaging that are in a similar position. We are as well, by the way, because I said to you before the show started that we're also building a software business. So we fully understand the phase that you're in. How are you managing it from a finance perspective? How do you make that work? Are you leaning, or have you been leaning on the bank of Peter Reed-Forrester, for example, or have you done it?
Yeah, the RF Bank is been very, very heavily lent on. It's been very much bootstrapped, but we were lucky to have from previous business revenue coming in that continued to flow in and helped us move forward. But we know that to scale the way we can, should, and will scale is now going to require investment.
Excellent stuff. So again, just staying in the finance space for a second here. You're again, please, with as far as you're prepared to share, are you building this business for a financial reward, i.e., a sale or a merger, an acquisition type scenario, or are you building it for other financial reasons? Is it more of a legacy situation? The reason I ask this question, Peter, is that too few people know that when they step out into their path, if that makes sense. So what's your plan?
Interesting word, legacy. Whose legacy? My legacy. There is a bit of that. We're very passionate about what we're doing. Very passionate about. Been involved in technology for many, many years, and I feel like it's the first time I've been involved in genuinely in technology for good. This is about making people's lives better, and that matters to me and my team a great deal. But yeah, I'm building to sell. I'm 64. This is my last innings, so to speak, and it's very much a build to sell. How we will achieve that will be probably through acquisition or merger.
Interesting stuff. I again thank you so much for sharing that bit of information there, because it's there are 5.3 million small businesses in the United Kingdom. There's 33 million in the US. And by our understanding, roughly 97% of those businesses don't really have that kind of vision. They don't have that kind of knowledge. They don't understand it in the way that you're describing it. So have that clarity, guys, and then work out how. It's as simple as that. Let's come back to time now. So the second aspect of today's session is time. So what are you what do you personally find the biggest challenge on time? How do you relate and how do you handle your drain on time, Peter, as the CEO of your business?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is as CEO of a small business, you have got your hand in everything. You're very, very, very lucky if you can just literally guide from the top. You have to be involved. So your time challenged day in, day out. And the only way you can deal with it is organisation and planning. It's time management. You've got to manage your time. You've got to know where you are, where you've got to be, when you've got to be. You've got to know what your deadlines are. You've got to understand what needs to be done first. Priorities are constantly evolving, and you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You have to have the ability to flex, and you've got to realize that a working day doesn't consist of 9 to 5 or Monday to Friday. Forget that. That's gone. If that's what you want, don't start your own business.
Get a job, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you, I mean, again, to be absolutely clear here, that's possibly, I want to say, the most succinct, clear answer to that question in this podcast series. That was absolutely fantastic. We use the phrase a lot within Power Play, Peter, that time management doesn't actually exist. What matters is self-management, and that's absolutely what you were describing there. So, are you utilizing any specific kind of software? Have you got any leverage points that you can share with us in terms of how you're managing yourself and this precious time that you have?
I suppose my world revolves around 365. Outlook, both from an email, but as a diary viewpoint. I use to-do and task lists extensively. I have project management experience, so I have a proper understanding of dependencies and prioritizing. So yeah, it's those sort of tools. CRM, good CRM, very important. And there's free ones out there. If you're just starting out, there's open source software. Never be afraid of open source software.
Would you put your name? Would you put your name to a CRM? Would you recommend one?
Yeah, probably a couple. We started out using Suite CRM, literally open source. We installed it on our own cloud server and built everything ourselves. And then when that got to the stage where we needed far more and we had to integrate service management as well and various other things, we now use Fresh.
Okay. So there's again, we need to underline for everybody listening here that or watching, should I say, that everything's a reflection, right? So the outcome is a reflection of the input. It's as simple as that. So what we're hearing this morning is really high level thinking around the principles of building a successful business. That's great. One more question on time, Peter. How do you ensure that the people that you employ are as vociferous, as well managed, self-managed as you are?
Empowerment, really. Obviously careful selection, trying to find the people not just with the right skills but the right personalities.
Attitude.
People with passion is very important. But once you've got those, it's empowering people. As long as people have their mandate, they know what they've got to do, they know how they've got to do it, or rather when they've got to do it by or whatever. But how they get on and do it is pretty much down to them. And if you empower people and allow them to get on with it, you'll find that I find that they generally perform.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach to management. In terms of giving people space. What are your thoughts on accountability? How do you check and balance?
Well, I mean, look, we have weekly meetings, we have regular reports. One of the reasons we went with the Fresh system is that it's great at reporting, takes the pain out of it. So I can look at activity levels across the business at any given moment, any given time. So it's again, it's taking that that obstacle, that hurdle out of the way, getting systems, getting automation to do it for them. And then people can't hide, can they?
That's the point, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the
And we
point.
don't talk about targets, we talk about commitments. When people are saying they're going to do something, we what are you going to achieve this week? It's very much about you do understand you're making a commitment to me and the rest of your team. And the team often question each other, in terms of, well, how are you going to achieve that? How are you actually going to do that?
Wow.
So it's a commitment.
I can't resist it. I'm sorry. Bear with me, everybody. What one of the things that we often find ourselves speaking about here within the subject of effective management, Peter, is goal setting, timeline, plan, and then accountability, measurement, holding people's feet to the fire. Those four critical aspects need to be a part of every day, every week interaction with our people. And without prompting, you mentioned all four, which is, again, it's nice to see the alignment there. That's the level that everybody watching should be at. Yeah, that's really, forgive me for pouring praise over there, but that's really really powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing. So health, that's the third aspect of the wealth equation. We've talked about money, we've talked about time. The final aspect is health. So how have you, 64 years young, still at the coal face of business ownership, entrepreneurialism, building to sell. Fantastic. Now the energy and the commitment, the passion is clear. How do you manage to balance health within the mix? What's your key?
Okay, I haven't always.
That's interesting.
I've learned the hard way. I had a very mild heart attack a year ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, very mild. Yeah, more of a through artery rather than heart, but that shocked the living daylights out of me. Yeah, but I've always I use a gym. I've used that regularly, and over a period of time, particularly in the last year, I put a lot of time and effort into losing weight, getting fit, being healthy, and I find that I've definitely found over the last year, as that effort has progressed and progressed successfully, it's made me stronger, more stamina, happier, and health and happiness go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Yeah. 1,000,000%. So I think it's fair to touch on the subject of mental health there, because clearly the I think the door you're opening for everybody is that the fitter, the greater your sense of well-being physically, then the positive impact mentally is substantial, isn't it?
It's huge, actually, and mental health is a huge thing. It's that classic "men don't talk about it" thing, but we do more and more now. Your mental health will be challenged if you're starting and running a business. Absolutely will be challenged. The stress levels are sometimes off the chart. When you experience failure, which you will, absolutely will, you've got to be able to get up, dust yourself down. What have I learned? And move forward. And all of these things are mentally challenging. And if you're not physically fit, if you're overtired, it's just going to make keeping your mental health there even harder.
Are you encouraging your team to follow the same?
Oh, yeah, we're very, very open. We have a very, very open environment. It was quite interesting. It came from it sort of really developed during COVID, during lockdown, where I made a decision that our weekly meetings, the first half of our weekly meetings, were about having a chat. What you've been up to? Did you have a good weekend? And how are you feeling? how's everybody feeling? And we continued that and have always continued that. And every Monday morning, the first part of our weekly, and we're a remote team, we've got people all around the country. The first part of our meeting is, how are you feeling? How are you getting on? Have you had a good weekend? Had a bad weekend? And once you get people to open, they tend to stay open.
I had a cheeky moment there when you said how you were organising your weekly meetings that you were going to say everybody had to turn up in shorts, t-shirts and trainers and do press-ups and run around the room for a minute, but you didn't go. You didn't go.
No. We did have a goat come to a meeting once, but that's
A
another
goat. A goat. Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, you can actually get this farm. I forget the name of it now, but there's a
Oh, I've seen
farm in
it.
the UK where you can have a goat come to a Teams meeting.
I love that.
It's hugely funny.
Now you remind me of some my kids some years ago were following somebody on YouTube that was he was an Australian guy and he wouldn't go anywhere without his goat. And I won't go into detail, but it was hilarious. It was very, very funny. And the goat was loving life. I mean, let's just for the sake of animal well-being. So fascinating stuff. Again, real insight here. Leadership is about people, inspiring, helping people raise motivation, showing care, nurture support. So leadership is critical, and Peter's bringing that to his team and his business. But of course, it's management that is where the money is made or lost, where the results are gained or lost. It's management that is the dark art of extracting performance from people. So Peter, it sounds like you're treading that line in a clearly conscious way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess it does. I guess it does. I mean, I'm a great believer in using the available tools to make the management side easier.
Yeah.
And if you do that and you do that well, then that gives you more time for the leadership side.
Mm.
And it's
I noticed in your web content that the word leverage popped up once or twice as I was reading through some of the content there, and it catches my eye, that word, because it's the language of the CEO. So the true CEO is looking to leverage, and I think it's a real insight that Yorbl is clearly a business that places massive emphasis on leadership, whilst leveraging technology to provide managerial tools and accountability. Again, people watching can learn a lot from this. It doesn't matter whether you're running a cafe, a garage, or whatever. Listen to what Peter's sharing with you here. This is foundational stuff. Okay, so we've talked about time. We've talked about the importance of self-management to make sure that time is best leveraged and utilized. We've talked about money in the context of money is the output of the input. We've talked about money connected to marketing. Very difficult to market a product and a business, a brand. If you're doing it organically, it can be done, but it's the slow road. You're considering going out now and hitting the supercharge button, which is a wonderful thing. Can't wait to see what happens there. And we've talked about health, physical, mental, the leader of the organization taking care of himself, recovering quickly from an incident a year or so ago, and making sure that his people are doing the same thing. So I think what we've got here is a business and a person, everybody, that is actually striking the wealth equation. Okay, so it feels to me like perhaps we're, in Peter's mind, not scoring 9 or 10 out of 10 on all three, but certainly we're scoring on all three, Peter.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear.
It's really rare for us to meet people in this space that are actually pressing all three buttons at the same time. And I wonder, and forgive me for going there, I wonder if that is a maturity and a gravity, a experience-based reality. You've been and done it, right?
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm 64, and I'm proud of that. Every day's a good day. But it's life's experiences are invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And the trick is to learn from them. And
Have
it's
you got, forgive
sorry.
me, forgive me, I thought I sensed a pause and I got it wrong. Forgive, there's a slight lag. Please carry on. Finish what you were saying, Peter.
No, I finished. What?
Are you guided by externals? Have you got non-execs? Have you got people around you, or are you pulling from your own sort of resources here?
The vast majority is me. It's simply me. And yeah, going back to that experience, that's been a huge help. People I've gathered and collected over years
Yeah.
have been invaluable in terms of providing support. Literally from my wife to friends in business, people's support, whether that be through advice, professional guidance, is hugely important. We've had a couple of non-execs over time, haven't got any at the moment.
Yeah. I'm not surprised to hear that. Again, for everybody watching, this is the opportunity to say, I know are the two most expensive words in business. It's wonderful to hear that leveraging and accessing the satellites around the planet Peter or planet Yorbl is critical, but also being smart enough to dip into non-execs, consultancy, coaching, whatever's required to solve problems or to stimulate the next level. I'm not surprised to hear that, Peter. You strike me as a guy that will have done that and probably will do it again. Well, look, I think this has been a very interesting podcast. Certainly, I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for joining in.
Enjoyed it too.
I would really love at some point in the future, perhaps once you've really got some traction in the market, maybe your investment's secured, maybe what the next phase of your push in your mission. It'd be really cool to talk again and maybe just open the subject up again. Would that be okay?
Be a pleasure. Be a pleasure.
Well, let's wrap it up there today then, Peter. Thank you so much for joining the Wealth Equation podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I hope you've took loads from what Peter's shared. And on behalf of the team here at Power Play, Peter, thank you and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome.